Hello dear parents, welcome to today's video. So if you're walking the post-adoption journey, then you know that it is not just about managing your child's behavior, but it is also about managing your own mind, your own heart in the midst of it all. Today we're going to be discussing something from DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, which is called the 3 states of mind. These are emotion mind, reasonable mind, and wise mind. We're going to discuss what these 3 states of mind mean, how this impacts your parenting, and also we're going to go over some examples and some tips of how you can implement and be in your best frame of mind. I also prepared a worksheet that goes over this topic, the 3 states of minds from DBT, which you can download before you go. It's in the description box below. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm myCaRE&CO. I help Christian adoptive parents navigate the post-adoption season with faith, neuroscience, and connection to move through the trauma, the stress, and the overwhelm to a nurturing home, healing connections, and to walk in the grace and wisdom that God provides. And in this channel, I share gentle encouragement, faith-filled wisdom, and trauma-informed tools for adoptive parents walking through the real, the hard, and the beautiful part of parenting. So I hope you have your tea, your coffee, and you're ready to dive in with me as we go along this. So while going through this video, I want you to keep in mind that this video is in particular for you as the parent. So we're talking about the 3 states of mind for you as the parent. Next week we'll discuss the child, but for today, just keep in mind it's about you. So what are these 3 states of mind? From a neuroscience lens, these states reflect how different brain systems interact under stress, under logic, and under calm. In any moment, you are operating from one of these 3 minds. So the first that we can discuss will be the emotion mind. This is the part of the brain, maybe you've heard about it before, this one is called the amygdala, and it kind of like detects the threat and activates automatically your fight, flight, freeze responses. And this is the part of the brain where operating from emotions. So you're led by your feelings, it's all heat and no filter. The thinking part of the brain, which will be this the prefrontal cortex, kind of like goes offline and you're not thinking anymore, it's just emotions. And what's happening is actually your body is trying to protect you, but it's doing so by reacting instead of reasoning because you're in emotion mind. And some examples in parenting, this might sound like I can't take this anymore. Why is this so hard for me? Nothing I do is working. And behaviorally you can start yelling, maybe withdrawing, over apologizing, you start feeling out of control, you're like giving up. And maybe you can think of some of those moments on hindsight, looking back and saying, oh, that's when I'm in emotion mind, this is what I personally do. The next step then, the other side of the pendulum, is reasonable mind. So again, this steps into the prefrontal cortex, but it's just logic. So it's the place where logic, planning, and executive functioning lives. But in this case, you're completely detached from emotion. You're focused on rules, on order, on doing it right. It might be seen as calm and orderly from the outside, but often you are disconnected from emotion. And again, maybe you think of instances in your life and maybe you say, oh, that is when I'm in reasonable mind, these are some examples. But the challenge with this is that it might seem logic, but if you stay there too long, you may become disconnected, detached from your emotion side. And we need both. Now, the body is doing this. Again, it's kind of like a protective response by your own nervous system. It kind of like shuts down and you're just thinking logically. Some examples might be, I just need to follow this strategy as they told me and then it works. Or they shouldn't be reacting like this, all those shoulds that we put in. Or I've done everything right, why isn't it working? So you're being very, very, very logical, but you're devoid of any emotions. Now, the best state of mind is called the wise mind, and this one marries the two. So marries the emotion mind with the reasonable mind, but kind of like balances it out. So neuroscientists will call this neural integration, where you're marrying both parts of the brain, the left and the right, for a good balance. What happens in this one is your state is you're calm, you're connected and grounded in both truth and compassion, but at the same time you're also attuned to your body and breath. You have access to curiosity, spiritual insight, clarity, and it's where your body is saying you're grounded, but you're not reactive. In real life examples, some things would be like this, and I want you to pay attention to the balance of it. So for example, this is hard, and I can still stay present. So you see there's two balances, where you have the logic and you have the emotions in the same sentence. And by stating this will help frame your mind better. And by framing your mind better, then your reactions, your behavior will be different. Another example can be, I don't have to fix this perfectly to be a good parent, a present parent. Or God is with me, I can take the next faithful step. So you see how you're marrying these two together, and to have a balanced approach towards a situation which could be hard. Now, why does this matter, especially in adoptive parenting? So, as we know, with adoptive parenting, it brings deep love, but also there's lots of layers of trauma, triggers, complexity, and you might be reaching out to emotion mind without even realizing it, especially when your child is dysregulated. Or you would be swinging to the other end into reasonable mind, where you're getting task focused, trying to see it, logically, without any curiosity, without any empathy in it. So the real connection happens, obviously, when we go back to wise mind. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So let's go over some steps now, how to move into this wise mind. How can we do it? And there's 3 things that we can go over. So the first is notice your state. We talk a lot about noticing and about being aware that this is happening for you. So when you're in a state, you say, okay, am I reacting emotionally? Am I checking out or clinging to rules? You can also ask things like, what would my wise mind say right now? So just by being aware of this, you can start changing things. The next one is you pause and you breathe. Put your hand on your chest and you can just simply pause and do some deep breathing. You can also say a scripture which resonates with you, which could be still and know that I am God. And what happens is, in this case, it actually interrupts automatic reactions and creates space for curiosity, for change. Again, like just that pause, you don't need to do anything, just pause. The next step could be also reconnect with truth and saying, the wise mind often speaks from that still, small voice. It's kind of like God talking to us, that gut feeling talking to us. And it sounds like grace. It sounds like I don't have to control this moment. I can be present in it and just sit with that. Or their behavior is not a reflection of my failure. Or God's power is made perfect in my weakness. So just sitting with all that. The next thing that I want to talk about and bring up is about triggers. So we get triggered. It's normal to get triggered. Sometimes it feels like your child's behavior is a personal attack on you, or you might feel ashamed, defeated, or unseen, and that's a sign you're in emotion mind. Again, it is not a failure, it's just a flag, a gentle nudge to return to wise mind. And again, it's not about perfect parenting, about being in wise mind all the time, because you're normal and it's not going to happen. So what I like to say again, that scaling question, yes? So if, for example, you start noticing, because now once you're aware of this, you start noticing this, and you say, okay, like today I was in emotion mind, and it took me 10 minutes to flip to wise mind. And because you're being aware of it, what's going to happen is next time, instead of taking you 10 minutes to go to wise mind, it will take you 9.5 minutes. And we want to celebrate those small steps where you're recognizing which state you are from those three, and you're doing something small, a pause, a verse, a reflection, deep breathing, acknowledging, and then you're going to go to wise mind. So celebrating those little moments instead of beating ourselves hard and saying, oh, I'm always in emotion mind, or I switch from emotion to reasonable and I'm never in wise mind. Okay, looking out for those times that when you are in wise mind, so that you can acknowledge them and celebrate them. Now the next step is why modeling this matters to your child. So your child is learning all this regulation by watching. You're an example to them. You don't have to teach wise mind with words or something like this, although children will learn it and they can start saying it back to you. Oh mom, you're in emotion mind, or something like this. But by watching you saying it out loud, when they learn it, they say, oh, I'm in emotion mind, I need some 2 minutes to do some deep breathing, I need to say this verse all over again. So they're watching you and they're learning, and this shows your child that you so you'll be saying, I can feel hard things and still stay, or I can make mistakes and still reconnect. So the children are learning. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. It's not about perfect parenting, but it's about feeling all these emotions. And sometimes when you're also in reasonable mind and you're not feeling those emotions, acknowledging that, and your child says, oh, emotions are good, they serve a purpose, and there's also a balance in all this. So they're watching and they're learning. So you're being a role model for your child in all these emotions. They're watching how you navigate these. Something which is helpful for us is that to remember that God's wisdom is available to you, not just when things are calm, but also when in the hard moments when you need God, and your child is observing and listening from you. So I hope that you have found this video helpful. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below what you want to see in future videos. Also, have you noticed these 3 states of mind in yourself? How are you reacting? How is it helping you as in your parenting? And how do you bring yourself to wise mind? Don't forget the worksheet. It's in the description box below. There's a link, and you can subscribe to that and receive it in your inbox. And in the next video, we'll actually be going to look at these 3 minds again, but in your child, and what we can do about them as a parent for your child, how to support him or her in their 3 states of mind. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.